So, Kim, I want to thank you for coming in today. I know this has been like quite a process for you, for you and Steve, and but you've been doing great. You haven't missed any sessions. I just want to, really commend you for sticking with it and, still showing up and being present for every session.
Thank you. It has been difficult, but coming here has definitely been a little helpful for me.
That's awesome. That's what we, that's the goal we really want to try to reach. So I know that based on what you've shared already, if I'm getting the picture correctly, you've been feeling, kind of left out of the loop with what's going on in the family, being stay-at-home mom and taking care of the kiddos, and which you're doing an awesome job, by the way, with everything else that's been on your plate. I just want to make sure I have that picture correctly. So is that accurate with what the assessment has been, documented?
Yeah, pretty much. Our courtship was beautiful. We both came from backgrounds where love and the intimacy wasn't really there. So when we connected, initially things were great.
Mm-hmm.
Just slowly over time, specifically after I had the second child, the balance that was once there is lost.
Okay.
And no matter how much we try to communicate, our communication is just not there, and he's not seeing my value.
Okay.
And I was very driven. I had a very powerful role and outside of the home before the children, and just slowly all of that has been removed.
Okay.
And there's just no balance.
Yeah. So just so I can get a clear picture, can you kind of reenact or explain to me what happens on any given day when Steve comes home from work?
Yeah, he's present in body, but not present in time.
Okay.
So he comes home, he barely engages with the kids. He'll ask them how their day was, but you can tell that he's not connected.
Okay.
And then never, ever does he ask me how my day was, even though I'm there raising our children, our legacies, and never is there a communication. Question, hey, Kim, how was your day? Is there something I can do to help you with the girls today?
Yeah.
Do you need a break? It's never there. Even when I try to advocate for myself, it falls on deaf ears.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what's your typical response to that?
I initially internalize, and then I get angry. I explode, and then the communication really shuts down.
Okay.
We banter back and forth. It gets very, very violent verbally, and then we both just shut down, and then there's no communication.
Okay. Can you give an example of some of the words that are used?
He'll say, I'll ask him, like, well, you asked the girls how their day was. Can you ask me how my day was? I had a very challenging day with our second daughter today, and this is what happened, and he'll say, well, I went to work all day. I put food on the table. I do this, I do that, and it's no reciprocation.
Okay. So, it sounds like it can become very tenseful. Are there any moments of aggression or any abuse involved?
Outside of just the verbal, no, it's just very verbally.
Okay.
Awesome.
So let's say one day he comes home and you're at that point and you're ready for a change because you're here, obviously. What are some things you'd like him to do?
I would appreciate him asking me how my day was.
Okay.
I would appreciate, that's really difficult, him being present. If there's a load of laundry in the dryer, help me out there. If there's toys on the floor, because we have kids under 5, 5 and under, those types of things. Help him with the girls' bath, something just to kind of help me out there. Talk with me about the bills. You know, I'm completely isolated financially on what's going on. We go paycheck to paycheck. That's stressful. He's not communicating what's due.
Yeah.
You know, I can help with that. I'm home.
Right.
You know,
right.
trust me with those finances. So
Okay.
those are just a couple of things that would be helpful.
And those sound more than reasonable. And I know that you touched on before also just questioning whether or not it was the best idea to stop working. Have you approached that with him?
Numerous times,
Okay.
you know, talk to him about re-entering the workforce, how it would be beneficial for our family. You know, we have a daughter that's going into kindergarten
Right.
soon. This will be an ample time for me to integrate back into
Okay.
the workforce, and I always need that conversation with the adverse response that I would be really looking for.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that something you can add to the list of maybe, you know, approaching him one day with, like, this is the plan that I've come up with? Have you gone that route too?
In my mind, I
Okay.
have, but I'm struggling with the skill set to be able to do that. So
Gotcha.
that would be helpful in therapy for me.
Okay.
Help me dialogue and role play how that would sound.
Okay. So again, it sounds like you have reached the point that you are ready to make those changes, which again is phenomenal. It sounds like Steve is really still kind of in the tunnel about doing things a certain way, and he's kind of gotten comfortable in his new role. So what I'd like you to do, if you're open for it, is to go home, jot down 5 things that you'd really want to see changed with him. It doesn't have to be anything monumental. Simple things like you said, come home, just greet you. Write down those concrete ideas that, you know, ideas that you're ready to go back to work. What type of work?
Okay.
Hours. Be as specific as you can.
Okay.
And bring those back to the next session. And we'll use those as a foundation, so to speak, to move in that direction. And hopefully those will begin to strengthen you and, you know, be your tools to use in your conversations with him.
Okay.
Is that something that you'll be willing to
Absolutely,
try?
I can work that.
Great. Perfect. And again, at our next session, that's what we'll focus on.
Okay.
So take the week. If it's one thing a day, if that's more manageable for you, just jot it down and, you know, just kind of get a feel of how you would approach him, how that conversation would sound. And then when we all come together again, we'll just use that as our basis for the session.
Okay.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Anything else you'd like to cover today?
No, this has been so helpful. You've been so good as far as helping me work through this problem. Thank
You're
you.
doing the work, so you get the credit for this, not
Thank
me. Absolutely. I'm glad you're continuing to come. You're continuing to show up. Just keep that momentum and we'll get you where you want to be.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.